So good afternoon to everyone. I appreciate you being here at our Hanover County's calendar committee meeting. This is our second of two scheduled meetings. It is our goal to be able to bring a recommendation to the Board of Education at the November meeting. However, if we need to postpone that, we surely can. Mr. Bowyer is not able to be with us this afternoon, but he definitely sends greetings and wanted me to thank everyone for their hard work, all the communication, and the thoughtful reflection in regards to our calendars that has occurred thus far. Also, he wanted for me to share out that we've made contact with a local elected representative, and we are looking to take a meeting with Senator Michael Lee at some point in the near future so that we can share our concerns and suggestions in regards to the calendar. And so we're very excited that Senator Lee is making himself available to sit down and have those most important conversations with us as we develop this calendar. Given the small group that maybe we have today, and we've got one member who's new who was not here last time, if folks don't mind going around and introducing themselves and sharing the role that they represent, I think that would be wonderful. LaShawn Smith, Deputy Superintendent, and I facilitate the meetings for our committee chairperson, Mr. Nelson Bowyer. Ms. Cherry?
Ms. Cherry Smith, I'm the administrative assistant for Dr. LaShawn Smith in Instruction and Academic Calendar.
I'm Mary Paul Bell, principal at Hanover, and I represent the traditional high schools.
Charlie Broadfoot, principal at Roland Grice Middle School, and I represent traditional middle schools.
Deanna Lee, principal at Carolina Beach Elementary School, and I represent traditional elementary schools, and I'm so excited to see you here, Jenna Bosch.
Jana Lennon, the director at CREC, and I represent the pre-K schools.
Romy Wheeler, I'm the principal at Eaton Elementary School, and I represent the two year-round calendars.
I'm Ron Valance. I'm principal of Isaac Barrett Early College, and I represent Isaac Barrett Early College.
Hi, I'm Nina Noble, and I'm just a student representative.
Oh, you are not just a student representative. You are the student representative. Yes, yes, and we appreciate you being here. And I'll share with you, your comments last time were so insightful. I've repeated them at least 8 times to different groups of folks. And Ms. Small, we're introducing ourselves and our role.
Well, I sat down just at the right time.
Yes.
Mary Hazel Small, I'm Chief Financial Officer.
And I'm Julie Varnum, Assistant Superintendent for Student Support Services. And I'm Jenna Bosch, and I'm a parent.
All right, well, thank you again for all of you being here. I made the comment a little bit earlier before the meeting started. I think folks maybe either have given up on the process or just really trust our judgment, one or the other. So what I'd like for us to do is to review and discuss the traditional calendar and see if we can get a consensus agreement, because as I said before, our goal is at the end of this meeting we would have a calendar. You know, of course, we can make tweaks and changes to that. We then could make a recommendation to the board. And for those of you who are not as familiar, we do have 7 calendars that is it 7 or 6? 7. We used to have 9, but we have 7 calendars that we take. We recommend to the board, so we take a recommendation to the board for. And so for our traditional calendar, it really is a very collaborative process. We start with that as our foundational calendar, and then all other calendars typically build around that. All right, so what I'll do is bring up, is this the revised draft? Yes. So this is the revised draft. You see that the 29th now represents the first day of school. because we, by law, are required not to start any earlier than the Monday closest to the 26th of August. You also will notice where our holidays are. In the month of September, that there are no designated days other than student days in October. We have a teacher work day in November, and the 8th is the election. That's why we have that designated as a teacher work day. We have 3 holidays in November, and then we have an annual leave day on the 23rd. And then in December, you will notice that the last student day is December 22nd. There was quite a bit of discussion in regards to that because we wanted to maximize the number of student days that we could secure in that first semester, given the limitations of when we had to start the school year. Now, I've had some subsequent conversations with folks, and I know that there is a strong desire to see a early release day in October, following the end of the grading period. So the end of the grading period is on the 24th, so the 24th would be that early release day, if that is what we would recommend. This affords our teachers the opportunity to work on grades, to finalize grades, to also, if there's some needed professional development. We've got quite a few new curriculums that we're implementing this year. Of course, we will do the bulk of training at the beginning of the year, but sometimes there's a need for retooling or planning. This would not technically decrease the number of student days, but it does decrease the number of hours. And so we do have enough of a cushion that we would not need to make any adjustments in the length of the school day if we were to do this. But just understanding the impact. For the first semester, we right now have 78 days, and then for the second semester, we have 89. So that's a huge difference, and now we're adding, if agreed upon, a early release day on the 24th. Love to have some feedback, discussion, if any of you have heard that same desire from folks that you've talked to.
I've heard that
Okay.
desire from folks that I've talked to.
That's wonderful. And I think that's been from elementary as well and middle school. So I think that in and of itself, especially since those are folks who have to be teaching these semester-long courses, if it's important to them, then it definitely needs to be important to us. So we would, Ms. Cherry Smith, make the 24th half day for students.
And that's of October?
Yeah. So that would be at the end of the grading period.
I think I have a lot of feedback
Okay, wonderful.
that I should have sent you earlier, but I just, anyways, it's, we're busy. So most of it is, I'm just now reading through some of it, most of it is saying, I sent it out to the Superintendent Advisory Committee, and almost all of it is saying we need a teacher workday between September and November. A lot of people have requested a full day. There's other specific, I'm just trying to filter through. So far, I have 7 pages of that specific request.
Okay. Well, and it's not surprising. I mean, I understand that that's important to folks, and we can have that discussion. Right now, we're looking at the imbalance of 78 versus 89. Do we want to make it 77 days versus 89 days? Okay, I'm getting from my high school.
I mean, not for high school.
Okay, I understand. And that's really where the heavy lift is with high school, because you're talking about semester-long courses. With year-long courses, you can, take your content and shift it, but if you're talking about high school courses, then yeah, okay. So that's where we are right now. We'd have 78 days versus 89. But we don't want to go to 77 is kind of what I'm hearing.
I think that this feedback is telling me that people would be willing to go 77.
Okay? All right?
Do the quarters have to be the same number of days? Like, how do you determine where to split the end of the grading period?
So in a perfect world, and please notice the air quotes very intentionally, they would be. They would be. But in the absence of calendar flexibility that would allow us to start our year early enough that we could balance the semesters, we really can't do that. Unless we decide that it's no longer a priority to end prior to the December break. Okay. So what I would say is, as a committee, we need to make a really hard decision now. Abby, I don't know if you want to advocate a little bit more for that or a little bit less, but I think this is a place where we probably need to take a vote.
I would strongly, I understand that high schools, I understand cutting a day means less of a curriculum and less content, but I think just the overwhelming majority of people have said in my building and across most of the schools have said they need a full workday.
Okay?
Most people are requesting a 2-day fall break, work day, or break. So I think that reasonably 1 day, knowing these limitations, and understanding that perhaps next year we could consider that if the start date changes. I mean, this year, unfortunately.
So the start date will be just as challenging. I won't say awful. That was what I was going with, but you know, just as challenging next year. It won't.
I'm sorry. Next year, I mean 2023, 2024.
Yeah. Well, in exact, I knew exactly what you were talking about.
Okay.
It's going to be challenging for the next few years until that 26 shifts to where it either falls on a Wednesday or Thursday, and then we've got the flexibility of going either way. Yeah.
I've also had that feedback from paraeducators as well. I'm looking support staff.
And from a parent's perspective, and I know you shared with me that your child is in middle school, but hopefully you've had the opportunity, or you will have the opportunity to talk to high school families as well, and then thinking about, you know, student who's in honors level course first semester only having 77 days to get through the content versus if they take second semester, then they have 89 days to get through the content.
I mean, I'm not a teacher, so I'm sure they need a whole day, but I can see on the student's perspective where taking away a whole day would not be as fair to the first semester as it would be to the second semester. And I guess my question is, I mean, do they have to start school year on a Monday?
It is, they don't have to start it on the Monday, but you have to, you can't start any later or any sooner than the Monday closest to the 29th. So if you did not start it on the 29th, then you would have to start it on either the 30th or the 31st or in September. So you would be losing even more days.
Okay, so you couldn't start it the 23rd or the 24th, so it has to be that Monday is the sticking point,
So
closest to the 26th.
So not the Monday itself, but you can't, so you could start it on a different day of the week, but you can't start, let's see.
Earlier than the Monday closest to the
26th.
I'm reading from your.
So if the 26th was on a Monday, you could start it on the 27th if you wanted to, or the 28th if you wanted to.
Okay.
But you can't go, if the 26th was on a Monday, you couldn't have gone back and started it on the 23rd, which would have been that Friday.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes I need a visual.
Right.
Yeah. Any other comments, discussion?
Sorry, so I was just, we were
Oh, no,
having
you're
a
fine.
sidebar conversation.
Great.
Really, we got the same exact feedback from the elementary principals as far as just having more work days in the fall. At least one in between the quarters, how beneficial that would be. And I 100% agree. And what I would say is what I was just sharing with my colleagues here is elementary school, we don't have semester-long courses. All we have is year-long. So the length of the semester, we don't really have a dog in that fight. So for us, it would be more valuable to have that workday built into that fall semester. But I can understand that's a completely different beast for the secondary folks. And so I would defer to them and what's going to be in the best interest of those students. Because it really, for us, it doesn't.
I think also burnt out teachers and not having that day to grade at the end of the marking period and plan, they're not going to be as effective. I know it's only one day, but I can speak for my colleagues and this feedback that even that one day, the burnout versus like fidelity of instruction is important, and if our teachers aren't given that, then I do kind of worry that those 78 days some of those will not be done with fidelity. Again, it's only one day we're talking about. I also had some other feedback. I don't know if we want to close the October conversation or.
So it's the feedback for the first semester or for second?
No, sorry, we're in first semester.
Yeah.
Okay, nope, I will wait on that one.
All right. So any other discussion before you take a vote?
I'm so sorry. It does involve first semester.
Oh, no, you're great.
It does involve both. Okay, so I'm sorry. It's been such a long day. Yeah. Some people were wondering if we could, it seems like the undesignated and designated work days at the beginning of the year overpower what is happening towards the latter part of the year. Wondering, our proposal to move 1 to 2 of those days to February. Work days in February. Or do we need to front load, or do we need to keep that front loaded section of work days?
So again, if you put teacher work days in the year, you're pushing out student days.
Right.
Because you can't capture any more student days within this window. So any work day, whether it's first semester or second semester, that you put within the 26th and June 2nd, you're pushing out student days. If you want to end before Memorial Day, and if you want to end before the December break. So anything, it's like if you think about putting air in a balloon, the balloon is going to expand.
I will say overwhelmingly people wanted to end by winter break.
Yeah.
Overwhelming majority.
Yes.
I don't see any feedback that says.
Well, yeah, and that's kind of where we start. So if that's what we want, then what then becomes the non-negotiables. But we also have to recognize that we don't want to create, these, I don't want to say hostile, but just really negative working environments for teachers and for students as well. And so what you say, I definitely hear, but it's hard to hold on to one while you're reaching for the other.
Right.
And, and parents are balanced in this. So, we've gone from providing parents with 185 days of their students being in school. And so right now, children are only in school 167 days. So for parents who pay for childcare, they've got to pick up the difference. For parents who, have students in, whatever activities for school, they have to pick up the difference. But we also recognize the need for professional development opportunities for our teachers. And so all of those pieces are part of it. So we're trying to balance it for teachers, balance it for students, balance it for parents, and then also support our community as well, because we want to be a good steward in the community. And so the challenge is everything can't be the top priority. And so I think we clearly said ending before December break and ending before Memorial Day are our top priority. So now the question is, what sacrifices do we make along the way? And what we've had to sacrifice are work days that occur just in time, right in time during the school year, in order for us to do this. And we've also sacrificed days when teachers have face-to-face time, contact time with our students. And so, you think about it, the relationship between our teachers and our students, we're, in essence, decreasing that by a significant number of days. So that's a huge sacrifice, but we also believe that the gain that we're making is a powerful one as well.
Sorry, I'll stop talking.
No, you're great. I appreciate it.
This is the first time serving on this committee. Is ending on Memorial Day weekend ideal? I have some feedback that says graduation being on that weekend is not ideal. And so what was their rationale prior to this year that was discussed?
So say the last part. So what's the rationale?
What was the rationale behind ending by Memorial Day?
Well, I think it, just like ending before the December break, really represents almost like benchmarks or milestones. In our last meeting, at the end of our last meeting, we actually talked about the fact that graduation doesn't necessarily have to be on that Saturday. I think that's a conversation and discussion high school principals can have with internal and external stakeholders and actually bring a secondary recommendation. We're going to keep it on the calendar, or we can keep it on the calendar where it is, but that's not something that can't be shifted or changed later, because we do recognize that there are some challenges associated with that. But, the question is, do we move the end of the school year just so that graduation can be on a different date?
Or so that we could build in more work days, like a work day in February, or I don't know, I'm just reading this and brainstorming out loud.
Yeah, if we want to end in June again, we surely could. I would offer to you, based on the feedback I've gotten, I don't think that would be as popular.
I don't remember from last meeting, our conversation around the 2 undesignated work days in April. I really like it. It sounds awesome. I just didn't know if we had some feedback from people, and so that was very intentional.
I can't wait to tell you about that.
Okay.
Okay, so we had an extra work day we needed to stick somewhere,
Okay.
and that's where we stuck it.
Okay.
And part of that driver was, if you look at the end of the school year, so our students get out on the 25th, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We didn't think it would work necessarily to have 9 teacher work days at the end of the year, but then going back and thinking, in my mind, along the same lines that we're thinking right now about the work day in October, adding one that would allow for, in essence, 5 days associated with Good Friday. So you'd have Friday, you'd have Saturday, you'd have Sunday, you'd have Monday and Tuesday. Made much better sense. There's nothing that would preclude people from working, but for folks who had the leave, they surely could take that leave. And I surely did not want to stick it on the front end and have people coming in August 10th and just in good conscience. You could not really justify it on the back end. But I appreciate you noticing.
Well, I really like it, and I hadn't heard a lot of feedback regarding the pain point of February. So I was just looking in the second semester at those dates and just figuring there was good thought put into that. And I like that idea of those days in April.
Yeah.
I just didn't know if there was enough of a pain point anywhere else in the second semester that we needed that time.
We can split it up. Move March to February.
All right, so going back to first semester, I think the 2 questions are, 1, full day on October
24th.
So it wouldn't be the 24th then if we did a full day, it would be the 25th. So full day on the 25th. And then whether we would remove some of the teacher work days in August, and shift them to second semester, which would then do, or we could even look at days in June to shift those. Because I'll be honest, I think the number of work days in August, we've got a more than enough training, we're gonna need all of them. But we could also have the same conversation, same benefit, looking at the days in June. I think June is a little less needed than based on what we know right now. I know that we're gonna need the days in August. I don't know as much about June. So, you know, we're definitely not as formal as the board, but I believe we do have a motion. And so if folks would support, let's see how many folks we got here. 1, 2. All right, good odd number, yay. So if folks would support a full day, so I'm gonna ask 2 questions. Folks would support well, 1 question. Folks would support a full day on October 25th versus a half day on October the 24th. So that's the question. So if you support a full day on October the 21st versus a half day on the 24th, if you'll raise your hand. Yes, I'm sorry.
The 25th, that's a Tuesday, right? So
Yes.
that would it be a designated or an undesignated day?
In my mind, for this calendar, it would be undesignated, but principal surely could designate it.
The one in March is designated, is that for the same reason, because it's the,
End of the grading period.
is there a reason that one's designated?
We anticipate that there will be a need for training on that day.
Okay, so that's not because of the break? Oh.
Yeah, no, we, just at that point, we do anticipate that there will be a need for training. And we surely can designate the 25th. I mean, but again, even if it's undesignated here, building level principals can still designate it. So we can say on the 25th, we've got this training for 9th grade math teachers or, you know, Math 1 teachers. It can be designated just for that group of folks. But again, then that doesn't make it required that we have to designate it for all folks if we don't need to.
So by adding the 25th, if we voted on the full day, then we would have a teacher work day at the end of every grading period,
Yes.
which has definitely been requested. Okay.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. All right, so the motion is full day on the 25th as opposed to a half day on the 24th. So if you support that, if you'll do show of hands.
Support the 25th.
Full day on the 25th versus half day on the 24th. If you support that, full show of hands, high, because, you know, eyes aren't as great. So we have 1, 2, 3. All right, if you support, well, so that's not gonna happen. So if you support half day on the 24th, as opposed to full day on the 25th, if I can have a show of hands for that. Okay, so that carries as a majority. So we will have a half day on the 24th. Sherry, if you will make that notation. All right, so going to second semester. So if you notice, first full week of January, we have a holiday, we have an annual leave day, and then we have 3 teacher work days. There are no teacher work days. We have another holiday in January, no teacher work days in February. Then we have a teacher work day in March that's following the grading period. And then we have spring break at the end of March. And then in April, we have Good Friday. And then we have a work day on Easter Monday. And then another teacher work day on that Tuesday. And then we end our year on the 25th, and then we have a holiday, teacher work days on the 26th, 30th, and 31st, holiday on the 29th in May, and then we run out the rest of our year in June with teacher work days. All right, questions, discussions about second semester. I know we were thinking about adding an additional day in February. We could surely look at taking a day from June, or in order not to lose student days, we could look at moving the 11th of the teacher workday on the 11th of April into February as well.
Or we could, the last student day could be May 26th, and we could add a work day in February instead of taking one away in
Okay.
April.
Yes, we could shift last student day to the 26th of May, and then add a teacher work day in February, and that kind of leaves us where we are in terms of being whole. Discussion about any of those suggestions?
I might be a little hesitant on the, having the last day on the Friday around Memorial Day. What I might suggest, we do have an imbalanced, semesters. I think it would be, if the teachers, first semester, I'm speaking for high school a little here. If they're able to make it work with less days, would we be able to also have one less day in February and move one of the work days from June to a February date? I know. I think I heard that earlier from some feedback.
So we surely could, this is the recommendation that we're making to the board, so we surely could do that. I just want us to be cognizant of the number of days, so
Right.
students are getting 18 less days than what the law allows. And right now, in terms of teacher work days, we're looking at 27 teacher work days. So this would be taking it to 28 teacher work days, and students would be getting 19 less days than what the law allows.
How close are we with the hour count? And y'all probably had this discussion
So,
last week and I missed it.
how I do the hour count, I take the number of days that we offer with students, and I do it by our 6.5 hours. And then I add the additional 10 minutes multiplied by the number of days and calculate our minutes. So we do have a little bit of a cushion. So we will meet the hourly requirement, which, in essence, really is kind of a low threshold. But again, if we have inclement weather, things of that nature, then that means we end up making these days up, which means, elongating days because there's not really any time within, or we could adjust the calendar where we actually end after Memorial Day. I think where we are, unless we have something that would be significant, less significant than Florence, but still significant, I think we're in a good place.
Yeah.
But again, I just want us to be cognizant of that, because again, I know we are driving this from our lens, and I want to make sure that we're cognizant and we are driving this from the perspective of all the stakeholders, which include our students and our parents as well. And I think we have invited 2 parent representatives.
One parent representative,
So the PTA, yeah. So, so we definitely don't want to drown out the voices of those folks who are in the minority here. But we surely can. Again, hopefully it doesn't sound like I'm opposed to any of it. I will support any decision that we make, but I just want to make sure we understand the impact of the decisions that we make, because, and of course we're projecting this to the community, but, internal decisions, and then we've got those, external facing decisions as well, and the impact it has on families.
I think the second semester is okay as it is.
would still advocate for a work day in February.
Okay. How would folks feel about moving the 11th to a day in February?
Can you move your January 4th, 5th, and 6th?
No.
No? Okay.
I will say, just the constant feedback is the front loading of August is, so, I mean, I understand I understand the perspective of not wanting to have school on May 26th because of, it's the holiday weekend. I feel like this will be unfavorable, but could we perhaps discuss extending the year past Memorial Day?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of feedback that says just the August teacher work days are not as useful as they could be if they were redesignated.
Okay. All right, so let's have that conversation. So moving our end date, is there a proposed end date like June 1st, June 2nd?
June 31st, or I'm sorry, May 31st.
So
keep it in
May 31st.
Yeah, I was like, whoa.
Okay, yeah, no, June 31st,
so
I'd be like, I can't do that, sorry.
Oh, well, then, sorry, the 29th is a holiday, so I don't know, June 1st.
So no, the 31st, no, I was talking about, no, I couldn't support June 31st.
Yeah, no, I know, I'm saying, but then students would only be in school 2 days on that last week. Would that be even worthwhile? Would students find that? Families find that worthwhile for 2 days to come back after that holiday?
Well, I'm gonna defer to my colleagues, because
Yeah.
I know how it would run in my house. Yes, ma'am.
So I guess my question is, you have the vacation at the end of March, they come back for 4 days, and then they're on vacation again.
Yeah.
Can you take away possibly, if you want part of that vacation in March, use 2 or 3 days at the front of the week and use those 2 ending days in maybe February?
So can you give me numbers, so the.
So you have them out of school the 27th through the 31st of March. And then they go back the 3rd through the 6th, and then they're out again the 7th, 10th, and 11th. So they're out a week, they go for 4, and then they're out again for 3. Is there a way to take possibly the 30th and the 31st and move those to February? So the kids actually have almost a whole school week before they're on vacation again?
That'd be spring break.
Yeah, no, spring break, you got to test spring break.
So yeah, I mean, that's a possibility, so that would mean we would have a 3-day spring break.
But then they turn around and have a 5-day break a week later.
Is it not, I know that we've done this before, embedding spring break with Easter. Was that not popular?
So, I mean, we surely could, so if we wanted to run, so to move spring break from the 27th, 28th, and 29th and have it be the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, I mean, that could happen. So, yeah, the days in March, the whole week could be moved and adjusted.
Were we trying to align, like, all the spring break? It looks like most of them were the same week, I just wasn't sure.
So, yeah, so we build out the traditional calendar and send it out as a template, and everybody builds up against that. So then we would go through all the other subsequent calendars and see if they wanted to make that same adjustment.
Okay, that sounds like a little too much.
Oh, no. I mean, no, to go, no. I mean, because that's how we have historically done it. But I think we shifted it because this spring break maybe aligns more with the community college. Or there was a reason for it.
The reasoning for it this year was, and I think Easter is like April 15th. This current year, a whole nother week later, and what we looked at was students and teachers would return, and you'd have about 2 or 3 weeks of instruction, and then it would be time for exams. And we just really thought that it would be such a long time this year between, middle of February and that break, that we wanted to push spring break up a little bit to not have as long a time, so teachers and students get a break, but then they also are able to come back and recharge before those exams this year. Next year, April 2023, Easter it's a week earlier than it is this year. But it is, a little bit longer or a little bit shorter time when they come back in April. You don't have a whole lot of time before you're starting those exams. But I do understand the point of you have a week off, you come back for 4, and then you have a 4-day or 5-day break for kids. So I think that's certainly worth discussion.
Yeah, if we were going to move a work day to a day in February, I would propose it be April 11th. I don't think it would be a good idea to take one of those days in January just because our holiday for the for the kids, the holiday break starts so late next year that's just shaving it down even more so. And then taking the days in June, obviously that cuts into instructional time. But if we were to move that April 11th to a day in February, it's 6 one, half dozen the other.
So what if we move the 27th of March, 28th of March, 29th and 30th of March to the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th of April? Then that would allow us to move the 31st of March to the 13th of February, and then the 11th of April to the 14th, and that would give you 2 days in February.
So would one of those days be a vacation day in February and one be a teacher work day? Because the 31st of March is a vacation day.
So what we would likely do is flip-flop and make the vacation day in June.
Either
June
then
1st?
Or January. Like you could do January 4th and flip a work day, depending on when people want their vacation.
Oh, I like that idea.
There might, because you already have a shorter one.
Right,
Say again?
especially by,
You already have a shorter holiday break. And so if you were going to do that, you could move that extra holiday back to the 4th.
Yep, so
And
yeah,
then
so we could
switch
do
the
that,
dates.
so the holiday would be here, and then the 13th and 14th could be 2 teacher work days back in February. Look at you, you master negotiator, you.
First week in April. With the Monday on the.
So the 13th and 14th of February would be teacher work days. I think we're gonna have to have at least one of them designated,
the 14th doesn't.
so we could designate the 14th. Then January 4th would be an annual leave day. And then April 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th would be annual leave days. And then April 11th would be a student day.
Wait, did we say we were taking the 11th off?
So the 11th would go to the 14th, the 30th.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
They're gonna take these days.
April the 3rd, 6th, 13th, and 14th, one of those designated, which is the 14th. January 4th, be an annual leave day, and April 11th, will now be a student day.
Yep. And then March 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th, and 31st would be student days.
And I don't know if there's any logic to whether the 10th or the January 4th is is the vacation day. That's up to you. I don't know if that makes a difference.
Yeah.
What were the days in February that were then going to be?
13th and 14th, unless you've got a better suggestion.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, all right.
So 13th and 14th would be in school?
So the annual leave day would be on
red
January
days,
4th.
Undesignated, the 14th is designated.
14th is red and this one's yellow. Okay, thank you.
And there has been a lot of, interest over the years in that Monday after Easter being annual leave day, but I think as long as it's a work day, people are happy, but I don't know. We've kind of gone back and forth over the years.
Okay. Yes.
Which day from spring break is being taken, or is that secure?
So spring break would be April 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and then students would also be out on the 10th, which would be a teacher workday.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Now, Dr. Smith, some of the counts, like Restart, they didn't want to change their spring break.
So since we're making such significant changes, we will ask and confirm with Restart. And we've got a year-round representative here. We'll check with CTEC and WEX, just to make sure they want to align. So we'll double check on that. Okay. All right, any other conversation, discussion about the traditional calendar? All right.
Oh,
Yes,
how many teacher workdays do we currently have now? I guess we didn't.
27.
27. So if we did want to make the 10th, would it be possible to make the 10th we said it was a designated?
10th of what?
The 10th of April.
Mhm.
Did we say that was going to be designated or
No.
undesignated?
Undesignated.
Undesignated, okay. Did we want to talk about making that a vacation day since it's Easter Monday? Or are we comfortable with that being an undesignated day?
So if we did that, then the 4th of January would go back to being a work day.
Okay, okay.
Okay. All right, are we good with tradition? All right, thank you. Any? Going once? Going twice? So, no, I'm joking. All right, so now let's take, let's see what we got next. So year-round, so with the discussion, I guess, let me see where spring break is now. So you could just shift yours because you were going to be out during this time anyway, Romy, so this won't negatively impact you.
No, they both line up.
Yeah. That's the beauty of a 3-week window. Ms. Miles, we'll make adjustments with your calendar so that your spring breaks line up.
Yes, and then like the half a day, we would have no school on that
Say,
half a
yeah.
day.
So pre-K does not have school, so you'll lose one day first semester.
Yes, and then looking in February with those days, maybe putting our home visits on the 13th and the 14th.
Okay?
So
we can make those
You
adjustments.
think so, Jana?
If you did that, then you are losing the opportunity for the teacher to take a work day, so you may,
So red would be the 14th, so that could be a home visit day. I'm thinking of the families.
right. I get, yes.
Because if not, then they would have off, the children would only go 2 days that week.
You're saying build in some time for home visits within a teacher
Yeah,
work day?
yeah.
Yes.
At least one.
So we will work those details out.
And then, Cherry, I am so very sorry, but I really feel like we need to push the end of the spring assessment period checkpoints to May 19th. And Jana, are you in agreement with that?
So end of spring is, let's see, assessment.
Yeah, we have it at the 26th, and I'm trying to figure out why.
They changed that, Shannon.
Did they? Okay.
Yes.
I guess it's the same as this year. Okay. Either way.
And I wondered if our students are not going to school on February 13th and 14th, do we have control over the 17th and the 20th? Maybe not having those assessments, oh, I'm sorry, I was thinking it was a,
I just feel like as, you know, we need to look at those days. We don't
Yes.
need to have 4 days off.
right.
The yellow day, I understand, but like the red day, we could use for home visit day.
I did have some feedback from someone on the year-round. That is what we're, sorry, I said no.
Okay.
Weird. having a teacher workday that comes either before each break on a Friday or after
Yeah.
on a Monday for teachers to prepare for report cards and for the next quarter.
That's what we did.
Okay,
I worked with
awesome.
Sherry.
Okay. All right, any more discussion on pre-K? I love the language, it's like you and Jen are speaking like this foreign language, and I'm like, like, listen to them.
Well, they would only come
Yeah.
for 2 days, so we'll
Yeah.
have to play with that a little
That little
bit.
people language, I love it, love it.
We can go ahead and leave the assessment period on the 26th. It's similar to what it was this year. We just talked about pushing up to the 19th, but, so for February, if it's going to be, February 13th is going to be a yellow day, and February 14th is going to be a red required day, to take one of those days, the February 17th, make that the home visit day or vice versa. Because that would mean a parent, these kiddos would only go to school the 15th and 16th, and then have off for a home visit, and then have off that Monday for a home visit. So I just was thinking, 2 days, I mean, that breaks up your week, like maybe playing with those home visit dates. Like even moving the 17th to the 10th, even, I don't know. What do you think, Jana? Do you see what my point is?
I do, but I need to ask a clarifying question. The home visit dates are sort of like a designated teacher workday from the
Red.
teacher perspective,
Mhm.
is that correct? Okay. I need to do a little informing of some of my
No, love
new
it.
staff. They were thinking they had to do it after school, so I'm,
Oh, no.
so, thank you. All right. So, I'm sorry, what was your
Yeah.
question?
So just thinking of childcare and transitioning and back and forth, if we just changed this, we changed it to the 13th as a yellow day in February, undesignated, and the 14th is a red day, which is a mandated work day. So I recommend switching one of our 17th and 20th to a home visit day on the 14th. So that we could have the children there at least 3 days that week. Maybe February 10th could be a home visit day.
Tell me a little bit more about TS school checkpoints being due on the 16th, but having a home visit before the assessments due. Do you have to have your assessments done before you do the home visit?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
And that'll give them some time to get those checkpoints done. And I can't remember why, but we've always done it that way, but I'll figure it out in a minute. So I don't know if that would be the 17th would be on the 10th. So, because the 13th, the yellow day, you cannot mandate teachers to work. Or
Yes, you can,
She said that, yeah.
yes, you can. So
you can and you can't.
that means that so when it's a red day, then every teacher across the district is mandated to work, but there's nothing that will preclude, a site director or principal or even your department from mandating it for the folks that you serve.
Okay, so I would recommend doing the home visits on February the 10th and the 13th, and keeping the 14th a red day, so we could go the 15th, 16th, 17th with kiddos, the 20th through the 24th with children. It'd make it more of a solid week. And with home visits, it's really flexibility with their families too, so you have some flexibility. You could even use, and if we needed a PD day, the 14th would allow for that.
All right, so we will capture those changes for pre-K. Any additional discussion? Right, so the next calendar is our restart, so we'll check with our restart pre-K and our restart calendar. So we'll check with those principals. You can see here that they already had the 3rd, 4th, and the 5th as a part of their intercession, and intentionally did not choose to have the 10th a part of that calendar. So we'll just affirm with them sharing our new calendars. There may not be any changes here. Isaac Bear, are you planning to align with the new spring break, or do you want to keep yours as is?
Yes, ma'am, we want to align with
Okay.
the traditional, so I had marked down, so that means we can move we're gonna go ahead and move that to the 3rd through the 6th, and then we still get a work day on the 10th, correct?
3rd through 6th, the 10th of,
April. Isn't that what,
so I'm not seeing that on this calendar. Do you have a work day on the 10th on your?
No, I
calendar?
was going, because if we align with traditional schools, then wouldn't that 31st move to a work day on the 10th?
It'd be a holiday.
It'd be
I mean, a vacation
Yeah.
day.
A vacation?
So, yeah, no, you surely could do that. I'm sorry, I didn't, so, yeah, if you want to move to the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th for the 27th, 28th, and 29th, and 30th, and then the 31st on the 10th of April, yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
that'll be best for my staff with kids in traditional schools and not worrying about childcare or
Yeah.
having to take off, so I would like to do that. And then my other change that I would like to suggest would, that November 4th date, which is a designated teacher workday, could I move that to make that October 4th? Because my grading period.
So from November 4th to October 4th? Yeah,
My grading period ends the 3rd, so that'll give us a day to put grades in, and then I could, knowing me, I probably would have teachers, have it in power school either the 6th or 7th, so report calls to go home the 11th.
okay. So November 4th to
October
October?
4th.
October 4th, yep, no problem.
And then we have one more additional change, Ms. Bond, I think got one. This is the first one.
So the first one is the 27th, 28th, 29th, and 30th will now be annual leave days for April 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. And then the annual leave day on March 31st will now be annual leave on April 10th.
Yes.
That doesn't make any sense.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you for all my emails I was sending with the additional changes you were sending me, so I appreciate you working with me on that.
Okay, and so we will check with our other folks to see where they want their days to fall out. You can see their spring break looks very different. They actually have their spring break March 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, and 10th. So it may be that they don't want to change, but we'll check with WEX and CTEC on that one.
And I think didn't we always say over the years, that's when Cape Fear is gonna be on
Yes.
spring break. And
Yes.
so those kids won't be able to go on campus for their courses, so I think that's why it was suggested they wanted to do it, but I was just putting that out there.
That is-
Oh, well, we need to change that then.
Okay? But we will ask. We will not assume. All right? And this just the breakdown of days, which, as you all know, we have to have 215 days for which folks are scheduled to be employed. And so we've got that with all of our calendars. We'll double check on that. And then we'll also go through and make sure that our hours meet the state requirement as well. Anything that we've missed? All right, well, it is my plan and hope to be able to bring a recommendation to our board that meets on November the 2nd. If there's any questions or concerns or anything that, didn't come out of this meeting, please don't hesitate to share as soon as you can with Ms. Cherry or myself. Also, if there's a need for a small tweak, we'll make that and then we'll update you guys as well. Sometimes, there are small things that we overlook, and all of you are welcome to come to the board meeting on the 2nd, and when we stand up and present the calendars, I need you to cheer. I'm joking. But you're all welcome to that, and I appreciate your commitment, your dedication, and your hard work, and your attention to detail. Yes, ma'am.
So if in a perfect world, the state legislature were to decide to give us some flexibility, would we be coming back to the drawing table?
So we would reconvene, or, whether we reconvene physically or we reconvene kind of virtually.
Yeah.
But we would reconvene to have some conversations about what we would like to do different.
Okay.
Now, I would say, if it happens quickly, then making an amendment in December, easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
Right.
But if it happens much, much later, then we have to be very cognizant of plans that our families have made. Because, folks will schedule summer camps and vacation really, really, really early just because they have to. And so we have to be very cognizant of that.
And my predictions
but-
are usually wrong, but if it doesn't happen in the budget bill the next couple of days, it's probably gonna be more like next year. I mean, I don't think, I haven't heard any discussions of separate calendar legislation that they're dealing with right now.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right, yes.
I know you mentioned Senator Lee reached out to us before. I'll only speak for myself, but I'd like to be part of, if we had a meeting, I'd love to hear what he had to say.
All right, wonderful, I appreciate that. Well, in considering you shared that information with me, I just assumed you would be. All right, so, so good, we're on the same page.
I don't know if anybody else would want to be invited if that was possible.
I'd be happy
The
to.
more voices, he'd probably like to hear from us.
Okay, yes. Are you volunteering, Nita?
Oh, most definitely.
Okay, thank you. Yes, all right, wonderful. All right, guys, well, thank you again so very much, and I hope everyone has an incredible evening.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
yes,
you.
yes.
I'm going to have to email